Genuine question, not rhetorical. Would you rather have to abide by unwritten rules at work or the corporate game all the time, or would you rather know when you have to switch into that professional identity? Let me give you some context. I was talking with one of my coaching clients this morning about a lot of these unwritten rules that I talk about on here. I researched the unwritten rules of work for the working class and neurodivergence, and how a lot of the pressures once you get to, she's about to be an executive, are soft skills and aren't necessarily from the internal executives alone. They're also from having to work with external executives and external customers. And that's often the fear of changing unwritten rules, even as simple as written rules like dress codes, is the fear of an external perception of the organization. So for example, I live in DC and I had a federal client a few years ago who people were complaining about the dress codes and saying they were very outdated. And the executive just confided in me. He was like, look, I don't care what people wear when they're in my department. I honestly do not. But my hands are tied in what Congress expects them to wear when they're on Capitol Hill. And I was like, totally fair. You can't control Congress after you vote for your congressperson, right? Besides holding them accountable for that. Have you had a conversation with them about on casual days in the office versus like what is always going to be expected when you're on the Hill? And he hadn't. And when I was a federal employee several years ago, that was a conversation my employer had with me, was we expect, business casual when you're in the office. We're pretty lenient. You don't have to worry about, makeup, hair, shoes, if they're high heels or whatever. However, when you go to Capitol Hill, you do have to dress business professional in a suit, hair neat and back, the whole 9 yards. And I appreciated that as an employee because it told me that I did what the pressure was all the time. And it made me feel like I could trust my leadership a little bit more. And there's going to be identities where that's different because like my hair isn't nearly as police being a white woman as black women's hair is. And there's not the same demand to be over excellent, going twice as hard for half as much. And in my upcoming book, I talk about there are literally different legal rulings on if you're allowed to tell women they have to wear makeup or not. Notice that wasn't said in the Hill, but I never went to the Capitol Hill without makeup on. They didn't make me, but I just felt like I had to. The thing is, when you hide the why, people are forced to mask constantly, and they're code switching in every meeting and trying to crack a code that you haven't explained to them, so they think it's stupid. And it gets exhausting, especially for like neurodivergent people of color, where there's more masking and more code switching going on. That's been my perception of, I like to know when I have to turn it on versus when I don't. But I'm curious, because I know my experience isn't everyone's. What is your experience? Would you rather know, hey, I want you to be authentic with me, with this client, we're going to both have our mask on? What do you think?